And joining me to speak about one of those issues, we have the Honorable Marvin Gonzales, Minister of Public Utilities of Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, Minister Gonzales.
Hi, good morning, Sean, and good morning to our citizens in the beautiful island of Tobago. I wish I was there right now.
It is actually quite beautiful, but the heat these days, I mean, it's oppressive all around. Might just be 2023, but
That's the impact of
regardless,
climate change.
I guess we shouldn't complain. Things could be worse. God is still a Trini, and we still are protected from some of the more extreme weather. But
And in that context, Tobagonian.
but well, weather now, the water situation in the nation is always something that we have to pay attention to. And one interesting development in Tobago is the announcement of a new water park. A water park which, as of the reporting, is about 2 months away, or less than 2 months away now, from beginning construction in Tobago. And yet this water park does not have both AMA approval, which is an ongoing concern for the AMA, I believe, with regards to works in Tobago, but also does not have approval from the Water and Sewage Authority. And given the amount of water one would imagine a water park should be used, is this something of a concern yet, or just something that you in the ministry, your subordinates and the authority is just monitoring for now?
Well, we are monitoring. For me personally, it is of serious concern because of the projects and programs that we have started in Tobago to improve the supply of water. Recently, we constructed a number of booster stations in key areas, including the Chauvin Road booster station, which was constructed to improve the supply of water to Southwest Tobago, that area in Crown Point and what have you, because that is the area that most of your visitors would visit. And during peak hours, you would have over 100,000 visitors coming from Trinidad. They call it a transient population. So that area, there's a water deficit. There's a water deficit on the island. And what do I mean when I say a water deficit? I simply mean that the demand outstrips your supply. So therefore, you engage in water scheduling to distribute water to some of the areas around the island as best as you can. So when your demand outstrips your supply, then communities are placed on a water schedule, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 2 days a week, as the case may be, in order to move the water to other areas that may need it. So Tobago, from the data provided to me, we need about 5 million gallons of water more in order to meet the daily demand for the people of Tobago. And as a result of that, we have undertaken a program to drill for some more groundwater wells. We have recently completed the desilting of the Hillsborough Dam, restoring the dam to its full capacity so that it can start producing more water. Then under the IDB program, we are going to construct a new water treatment plant in Goldsboro in Tobago, which would add an additional 2 million gallons of water per day. All of these projects that we have started so that we can put to bring closer the demand and supply gap so that we can bring the island, or most communities on the island, to closer to a 24/7 supply of water. So when you get news that a water park is going to be constructed, of course, a water park takes large volumes of water. The first question that's going to be asked, or that I would want to know, is that where is this water coming from? So I inquired of the authority whether or not the approval was granted for the construction of that water park, and I was taken aback when I was told that there was no application that was submitted to the Water and Sewage Authority for approval. So therefore, the authority is also in the dark as to where this water is going to come from. It is not that the authority or the government is opposed to the construction of any water park. That I want to make that fundamentally clear. It is that the government is concerned that the construction of any water park without the requisite approvals from the authority can impact the supply of water to your domestic customers. Because if you're already grappling with a demand and supply gap, and you are undertaking projects to bring that gap closer so that citizens can have a more consistent supply of water, then any water park that's coming on stream to take the very water that you're bringing on board to supply your guest houses, your hotels, your domestic customers, your schools, and your hospitals, it can have a negative impact on the ability of the Water and Sewage Authority to be able to meet the demand of its daily customers. And that is obviously a problem. So we have not had any application from the developer, and therefore it is of serious concern when such an application is submitted. Of course, given the context that I have just, or the circumstances that I just described, all of that will be taken into consideration. And the authority would now have to work with the developer to find a sustainable source of water to provide to the water park without impacting negatively the customers who require a daily supply of water.
Well, as a follow-up question, because you outlined several programs wanting to try to make up the water deficit as you described it, and I have been here. I was fortunate or unfortunate to be here one year when, or experience one particular dry season where, it could get pretty harsh for Tobago's water supply and its capacity for at least half of the year, if not the whole year. So we have this deficit, you have plans. The water park has a time scale that was reported to start in 2 months or less than 2 months now, and to be finished in about 18 months. Would your projects that would have tried to get the current demand, to service the current demand, would those projects even be finished in time to try to make up?
No,
because otherwise the water park is basically going to cut into what already is a deficit. You can't even clear that.
It can't. It cannot. Because, you see, we have to be careful that whilst we seek to bring development, there must be sustainable development. Your development agenda ought not to conflict with any other agenda that you have. And in this particular case, the need for citizens to have a consistent supply of water. Any development that will impact customers getting a consistent supply of water is not sustainable development. And I can tell you that the project that I've already identified, we're already drilling wells in Mary's Hill and Bad Hill and some of those areas. Those wells will come into operation. One of the wells will come into operation in about 2 months' time. And that is to provide water to the people of Southwest Tobago, that area that I just mentioned. All right, the Goldsboro water treatment plant will come into operation in 1 year's time, around this time next year. All right, and then we are drilling other wells. I expect those wells to come into operation later down this year. Those wells and the additional water that we are bringing on stream, it is not to provide to a water park. The people of Tobago, the ordinary citizens of Tobago, we are seeking to improve their supply of water on the domestic grid. So the water that we are looking to bring on stream is to improve the supply of water to domestic and some of our commercial customers. It is not for a water park. And that's the reason why when such an application is made, the authority will sit with the developer to identify a source of water for the water park without impacting WASA's responsibility to provide water to its domestic and other customers.
Well, I then have to ask the hard question of, if their application, the timing of it is impractical, is it that the authority will be unwilling to provide either sufficient amount of water of what they're requesting or any water at all, depending? Because they say they're waiting for to finish their planning and estimates. Don't mind construction is starting in about 7 weeks. So I don't know.
I just find it to be quite curious that you're running ahead with planning your construction of a water park and you don't know where water is going to come from. You don't know
how much you need.
Or how much you need. Exactly. So that is something that the developers would have to answer for themselves. But I can tell you that our focus as a government and the authority, our focus at this point in time is to improve the supply of water to domestic customers. All right. This is a problem that plagued Tobago for years. And I just find it a bit unfortunate that you have a development that can conflict with our program to improve the supply of water. Let me give you an example, Sean. So there's a water park in Chaguaramas in West, right? That water park is fed by water coming from the Toka Valley. So I'll just use that as an example of what I'm referring to, because here we have a real example so that the people of Tobago who are listening and viewing this program can understand what I'm talking about. So this water park is being fed with large volumes of water from the Toka Valley system on a daily basis, portable water, high quality portable water treated, and that water park is fed from water from the Toka Valley system. As you come out of Chaguaramas, heading into Port of Spain, there are a number of communities in Caranage, in Scorpion, in some of those areas in Constabulary Street, and that area. And when I came in as minister, a number of these communities, they did not have a consistent supply of water because the water was being diverted to ensure that the water park has a daily consistent supply to the detriment of your domestic customers. And we had to take a policy decision to alter the balance from what goes into the water park and what goes to your domestic customers, because it does not make sense that your domestic customers, the thousands of people who depend on water just to bathe, to wash their clothes, to prepare themselves, to go to school and what have you, that their well-being have to be impacted because the water, or most of the water, is being sent to a water park. So we had to we took the harsh decision of altering the balance to ensure that the water being produced at the Toka Valley water treatment plant, that there's a healthy balance where the citizens in Caranage and the surrounding communities get their daily supply of water, and to ask the water park to engage in water conservation practices on the plant itself so that customers who live right outside of the water park are not unduly impacted. So if you don't manage this properly in Tobago, learning from the Trinidad's experience, if you go into Tobago with that kind of planning and development, I can tell you it will impact the supply of water to domestic customers in Tobago in a very, very bad way. And it's going to reverse all of the progress that we have made over the last year.
Well, Water for All is a frequent campaign slogan, a campaign promise.
1990s. That was said in 1990s.
All throughout, right? And of course, we know it's been an issue, but I just have to ask, given the fact that it's something that's important to people all over the country, I don't think there's any one area that is completely satisfied with it.
Yeah.
Did the THA, just to ask, I think the answer might be self-apparent, but the THA did not consult at all or speak to the ministry with regards to plans for this development?
No. So there was no formal communication from the THA. I was taken by surprise. I read about it in the newspapers. I asked questions, but there was no formal communication from the developer, no formal communication from the Tobago House of Assembly on the plans to construct this water park. So I'm hoping that we can engage in some meaningful discussions, because I don't think the THA will want a development that will reverse the improvements that we have made in water supply on the island over the last year. And we have made tremendous improvements. And Sean, I can tell you that during this dry season, the West Tobago, for the very first time, the water scheduling was not imposed, or water rationing was not imposed in West Tobago. The booster improved the supply tremendously. The desilting of the Hillsborough Dam would have also provided a consistent supply of water to the people on that part of the island. And next week, Tuesday, I will be in Tobago to commission a 7.2 kilometer, 48-inch pipeline, which will move additional water from Signal Hill into that zone in by the airport and some of and West Tobago West area. So there's a lot of work that is taking place, and we do not wish for that momentum to be stopped or to be reversed by development that came about without proper planning and without proper collaboration with the necessary statutory agencies. And that is my concern.
Well, my final question for you would be, just given all that has happened, has there been any consideration for any sort of policy shift or regulatory shift in order to prevent this sort of thing from potentially happening? Or what happened with regards to the Tucker Valley water supply to Northwest Trinidad to kind of formally, cut that off from ahead?
Let me tell you this, right? Just discussion, meaningful discussion. It is not that you oppose. I mean, a water park would attract tourism. It will be a tourism boost. It will create employment. So it is something that is good for Tobago because it generates a lot of economic activities. But it must be balanced and it must be measured. It must not negatively impact another sector. All right. So going back to the Tucker Valley experience, the water park is located next to the ocean, the Gulf of Paria. And what should have been done is that the developer there, perhaps the same for Tobago, should have been advised to construct a small desalination plant that can produce 300,000 gallons of water per day from the ocean in order to supply the water park. You understand? And don't take your expensive, high-quality portable water to go into a water park when you can take that same water to increase and improve the supply of water to your domestic customers. I'm just using that as an example.
Yes. So you're not saying to fully make it portable from the ocean, but to just
because you don't
make it fresh enough.
You don't need high quality portable water to feed into a water park. So on this occasion, that park is located next to an ocean. You have these small packaged desal plants that a lot of companies around the world make. You can install that package plant next to the ocean, next to the water park, extract the water from the ocean, treat it, and you feed you supply your water park for the number of activities that you're going to have in that water park. So here you have a water park, as opposed to taking water from your expensive portable water that should really go to your domestic customers. You take that water from the ocean, you treat it, and you have your activities there in that water park without impacting customers. In the same way, I'm saying I don't know the location of that proposed water park in Tobago, but if it is,
I believe it is near the sea, actually, Friendship Estate.
So if it is next to the ocean, the developer can look at acquiring a small package desalination plant. They're not expensive. They are very, very affordable now because of the technology and what have you. And they can install a package desal plant next to the ocean there and use that as the feedstock to supply the water park for water. And there you have a water park with sustainable water from the ocean without impacting the domestic customers in Tobago. So I'm just using that as an example in how when you work and you talk to developers, you can advise them as to how they can get the water without impacting the other sectors.